Los Angeles pulses with its characteristic vibrancy on this sun-drenched afternoon, its streets teeming with the chatter and footfalls of tourists and locals alike. The city, a sprawling canvas of ceaseless activity and fleeting moments, hosts an unusual encounter today on a busy street just off Sunset Boulevard. In the midst of this urban ballet, Cillian Murphy, a visage more familiar on silver screens than crowded sidewalks, makes his way through the throng. Clad in nondescript jeans and a light jacket, he wears sunglasses and a baseball cap, an attempt at anonymity in a city where the shadows of fame are long and enveloping. His stride is casual, unhurried, the gait of a man momentarily free from the trappings of celebrity. At the curb, a cab idles, its driver peering out into the flow of traffic, seemingly poised to merge into the relentless stream. Cillian, spotting an opportunity to slip quietly away from the increasing swarm of afternoon tourists, approaches the cab with a polite wave. "Excuse me, could I get a ride?" His voice is even, tinged with a soft Irish lilt that rarely makes its way into his American roles. The driver, a middle-aged man with lines of fatigue etched into his face, barely glances up. His hand is firm on the wheel, his mind, perhaps, on 1,000 other fares and a dozen personal tumults. "Not available," he mutters, dismissive, the off-duty sign conspicuously absent from his dashboard. "But you're free, aren't you?" Cillian tries again, a note of confusion threading through his words as he gestures to the missing sign. "I said no." The driver's response is sharper this time, a finality ringing in his tone that draws a few curious glances from passers-by. "Please, find someone else." Stung by the rebuff, Cillian steps back, his brow furrowing behind his sunglasses. The refusal, curt and unexplained, hangs awkwardly in the air between them. Onlookers begin to take note, a whisper of recognition rustling through the crowd. A street vendor, leaning against his cart of colorful souvenirs, watches the exchange with interest, sensing the undercurrents of a deeper story. As the tension subtly escalates, the scene sets itself. A famous man denied a simple service, a cab driver with his own untold stories, and a crowd of onlookers caught between curiosity and indifference. In the heart of Los Angeles, beneath the superficial gloss of everyday hustle, a moment of human complexity unfolds, promising to reveal more than just the surface tensions of a city always watching. The afternoon's brightness does little to illuminate the sudden, terse exchange that unfolds at the curbside. Cillian, slightly taken aback by the abruptness of the cab driver's refusal, pauses, his attempt to address the situation cut sharply by the driver's dismissive tone. "I really just need a quick lift," Cillian persists, his voice steady but edged with a hint of urgency as he points to the lit available sign atop the cab. "Your sign says." "I'm off duty," the driver snaps, louder this time, his voice carrying over the hum of the city. The words are a contradiction to the glowing sign, an unspoken rule broken without explanation. His hand waves dismissively, a clear signal meant to end the conversation as definitively as his tone. This public rebuke catches the attention of the bustling crowd. Heads turn, drawn by the rising conflict. A ripple of murmurs spreads through the onlookers. Someone recognizes Cillian beneath the brim of his cap and sunglasses, and whispers swell into a buzz of recognition. Phones emerge from pockets, camera lenses focusing not just on him but on the unfolding scene, a modern amphitheater of digital spectators. Stunned by the driver's rudeness and the growing audience, Cillian stands there, a figure momentarily stripped of his cinematic armor, exposed to the raw pulse of real-world interactions. The cab driver, unaware or indifferent to the celebrity he has just rebuffed, avoids Cillian's gaze, his eyes fixed stubbornly on the street ahead. The air, previously filled with the ordinary sounds of a typical Los Angeles day, now crackles with the tension of an unexpected standoff. Embarrassment flickers across Cillian Murphy's features as the murmurs around him swell into an unmistakable buzz. Resigned yet needing resolution, he leans slightly towards the cab's rolled-down window, his voice firmer, pressing for clarity. "Can you just tell me why?" "If there's a good reason, I'll understand," he insists, his tone a mix of frustration and appeal. The cab driver, rattled by the attention now surrounding his cab, clenches his jaw. His eyes, reflecting a maelstrom of personal stress and professional pressure, dart briefly to meet Cillian's. "Look, I just can't right now, okay?" he blurts, his voice cracking under the strain. It's personal." The ambiguous explanation does little to quell the growing curiosity of the onlookers. The driver's defensiveness only adds fuel to the speculative fire igniting among the crowd. Their murmurs crescendo into pointed discussions, some sympathetic, others cynical, about the star's public confrontation. Among the crowd, a local blogger, known for her quick coverage of celebrity gossip, senses an opportunity. She edges closer, her phone already recording. The lens captures not just the dialogue, but also the tension etching itself deeper on Cillian's face, footage gold in the currency of viral content. Her mind races with potential headlines, each more sensational than the last. Parallel to this, a subplot unfolds as a young girl, no older than 14, recognizes her favorite actor. Her excitement quickly morphs into confusion as she witnesses the escalating confrontation. This was not the Cillian she admired in movies. This was a man entangled in an all-too-real conflict. Torn between her idealized image of the actor and the unfolding reality, she hesitates, her phone in hand, debating whether to film or intervene. As the crowd thickens, the scene becomes fraught with tension. The driver, feeling cornered and misunderstood, raises his voice, unintentionally drawing even more spectators. "I'm not taking any passengers," he announces to Cillian and the crowd, hoping to dispel the gathering with his firmness. Cillian, catching the strain in the driver's voice, takes a moment to step back, assessing the situation with a blend of concern and dismay. His response, though measured, carries the weight of his public persona. "I'm just asking for a simple ride, not trying to cause any trouble," he says, loud enough for bystanders to hear, his Irish accent becoming more pronounced under stress. The young fan, moved by the unfolding drama and the humanity she sees in her idol's eyes, steps forward. Her voice is small but clear in the momentary lull. "Why can't you help him? He's just a person, like anyone else." Her words, simple and earnest, cut through the ambient noise, reminding those gathered of the basic decency often obscured by celebrity and spectacle. Her intervention pauses the escalation, giving both Cillian and the driver a moment to breathe. The driver, his face softening under the gaze of his unintended audience, looks at Cillian again, this time with less defensiveness and more resignation. "I'm really sorry," he begins, his voice lower. "I've had a rough day, and I'm actually on my way to deal with something personal. I shouldn't have snapped." This admission, shared publicly, shifts the dynamic. The blogger, sensing the turn towards genuine human emotion, continues filming but with a newfound respect for the narrative's depth. Cillian, recognizing the personal pain in the driver's admission, nods slowly. "I understand. We all have those days," he responds, his voice infused with empathy, reducing the space between celebrity and public, between a denied ride and a shared human moment. As the tension dissipates, the crowd begins to disperse, the spectacle losing its edge to a more nuanced understanding of the interaction. The young fan, her faith in her idol restored, smiles faintly at Cillian, who offers her a grateful nod, appreciating her courage in speaking up. In this charged atmosphere, personal stories and public personas collide and coalesce, leaving behind a crowd touched by an unexpected display of vulnerability and understanding on a busy Los Angeles street. As the tension between Cillian Murphy and the cab driver approaches a tipping point, a moment of unexpected clarity occurs. Cillian, his gaze momentarily diverted from the driver's weary eyes, notices a small, slightly tattered photo tucked into the corner of the cab's dashboard. It portrays a smiling woman and two young children, a stark contrast to the strained expression of the man before him. Beside the photo, a collection of hospital parking stubs and a brightly colored child's drawing, a beacon of innocence amidst the chaos, paint a picture of personal hardship. The sight of these deeply personal items stirs something in Cillian, a poignant reminder of the often unseen burdens others carry. The atmosphere, thick with the buzz of the onlookers and the heat of confrontation, suddenly feels incongruent with the reality of human struggles laid bare in the confines of this worn vehicle. Cillian's demeanor softens, the edges of frustration smoothing into concern. He leans a little closer, his voice dropping to a more intimate, understanding tone. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were going through so much," he begins, his words bridging the gap widened by earlier misunderstandings. "Is there anything I can do to help?" The question, simple yet sincere, catches the cab driver off guard. His defensive posture relaxes slightly, the initial brusqueness fading as the reality of his own situation sinks in amidst the unexpected kindness from someone he had only moments ago dismissed. He shakes his head slowly, a mixture of resignation and relief in his eyes. "Thanks, but you don't have to do anything. It's just one of those days where everything piles up," he explains, his voice tinged with fatigue. Cillian nods, understanding all too well the weight of cumulative stress. "I get that," he replies. "I've had my fair share of those days. Sometimes, just a little understanding from someone else can make all the difference." The crowd, initially hungry for conflict, now finds themselves witnessing a display of compassion. The atmosphere shifts palpably, the earlier tension dissipating as the focus moves from confrontation to connection. Phones lower slightly, recording paused as the onlookers begin to process the unexpected turn of events. The blogger, still filming, now captures a scene transformed by empathy. Her narrative, initially angled towards scandal, now veers into a story about understanding and support, a human interest piece that could resonate on a more profound level with her audience. The cab driver, encouraged by Cillian's genuine concern, opens up a bit more. "It's my daughter," he confides, gesturing to the drawing on the dashboard. "She's been sick, and it's been tough with the medical bills and all. Today was supposed to be my day off, but I took an extra shift to try and make ends meet." Cillian listens intently, his role as a listener now more critical than any he has played on screen. "I'm truly sorry to hear that. If you're comfortable sharing, maybe I can help somehow." His offer is tentative, respectful of the driver's pride and privacy. Gratitude flickers across the driver's face, mingling with surprise. "I appreciate that, really. Just this talk has helped, you know? Makes it feel less heavy somehow." The exchange, rich with human connection and understanding, marks the climax of their interaction. It is no longer a story of a celebrity and a cab driver in a standoff, but a narrative about shared humanity and the unexpected kindness that can emerge from conflict. As the conversation winds down, the crowd, now reflective, begins to disperse, taking with them a story that has evolved from sensational to heartfelt. Cillian, with a respectful nod to the driver, steps back, allowing him space, while the young fan looks on, her belief in her hero not just restored but deepened. In this climactic moment, the true power of empathy and understanding shines brightly on this ordinary Los Angeles street, transforming an everyday misunderstanding into a profound communal experience. As the emotional climax settles, the air around Cillian Murphy and the cab driver seems lighter, almost breathable, as if a storm has passed, leaving calm in its wake. The crowd's earlier anticipation for drama dissipates, replaced by a shared moment of compassion that resonates more deeply than the expected conflict. Cillian's empathy acts as a catalyst, not just for the cab driver, but for everyone who witnessed the exchange. The driver, visibly moved by the actor's genuine concern, feels compelled to share more about his situation, speaking now not just to Cillian, but also to those remaining bystanders whose curiosity has turned to concern. "It's been one hurdle after another," the driver admits, his voice steadier but still carrying the weight of his worries. "Today was just the tipping point, you know? I thought I could handle the extra hours, but it all got to be too much." His openness reveals the universal struggle of balancing life's demands with personal limits. Cillian nods, his expression one of complete understanding. "It's easy to feel overwhelmed," he responds, his tone soothing. "Sometimes, taking a moment to talk about it can lighten the load, even if just a little." The onlookers, now less an audience and more a group of empathetic participants, murmur their agreement. Some offer words of encouragement to the driver, "Hang in there, and it gets better," turning the scene into a small, impromptu support group. The blogger, initially driven by the potential for sensational content, lowers her phone, the lens now capturing the last few exchanges more out of respect than the hunt for clicks. She senses the narrative has changed, and with it, her role in telling it. Perhaps, she considers, this story of understanding and shared humanity might resonate more profoundly than another tale of celebrity scandal. The young fan, moved by the unfolding events and seeing her idol's compassion in real life, feels a profound connection. She approaches Cillian briefly to thank him for showing kindness, reinforcing the positive impact that public figures can have when they choose empathy over ego. As the crowd begins to finally disperse, the cab driver offers Cillian a grateful smile. "Thank you," he says simply, the weight of the day seeming less burdensome with the support of a stranger who turned into an ally. Cillian, recognizing the moment for what it is, a brief human connection in the vast tapestry of city life, smiles back, his role as a peacemaker fulfilled. This scene of reconciliation and mutual understanding marks the beginning of the resolution to the day's tensions, demonstrating the ripple effects of a single act of kindness in a world that often forgets to pause and offer compassion. And the gentle aftermath of their heartfelt exchange, the cab driver, now noticeably more at ease, extends an olive branch to Cillian Murphy. "I'd be happy to give you that ride now," he offers, a sincere attempt to make amends. His voice, once tense with stress, now holds a warmth that speaks to his gratitude. Cillian, however, gently declines the offer with a gracious smile. "Thank you, but I think I'll walk a bit," he says, reflecting his understanding of the driver's earlier need for personal space. Instead, he reaches into his wallet and pulls out some bills. "Please, take this. For your time, and maybe to help out a bit with whatever you need," he insists softly, pressing the money into the driver's hand. The driver hesitates, pride warring with practicality, but the kindness in Cillian's eyes convinces him to accept. "Thank you," he says, his gratitude deep and genuine. This means a lot." They share a final nod, an acknowledgement of the unexpected journey they navigated together, before parting ways, two strangers briefly connected by the complexities of life. Meanwhile, the blogger, who had captured the entire incident, reflects on the footage she holds. The narrative arc of her potential viral video had shifted dramatically from scandal to a profound lesson in humanity. After some contemplation, she decides against using the video for sensational purposes. Instead, she resolves to write an article highlighting the importance of empathy and understanding, inspired by the genuine interactions she witnessed. It would be a piece encouraging her audience to look beyond the surface and appreciate the human aspects that connect us all. The young fan, having observed her idol's genuine compassion and the positive outcome it facilitated, feels a renewed sense of admiration. Inspired, she decides to share her own account of the event on social media, focusing on the positive message and the impact of kindness. Her post garners attention not for its celebrity focus, but for its uplifting content, spreading a message of empathy further than the confines of that Los Angeles street. As Cillian walks away, the lingering buzz of the incident fades into the city's usual din. The moment of conflict had transformed into an opportunity for mutual understanding and respect, leaving those involved with a renewed appreciation for the simple, yet profound power of empathy. The moral of the story resonates clearly through the actions of its characters. Empathy and understanding are not just passive emotions but powerful tools that can transform conflicts, heal divisions, and bring people together in meaningful ways. This incident, a small ripple in the vast ocean of daily interactions, underscores the impact that empathy can have in navigating the complexities of human relationships, proving that even in brief encounters, kindness can leave a lasting impression. Months later, the warmth of a small living room embraces the cab driver's family as they settle down for a movie night. On the screen, Cillian Murphy appears in one of his acclaimed roles, his character as compelling as ever. The driver's children, nestled between their parents on the couch, watch with rapt attention, but for the driver and his wife, there's an added layer of appreciation. They know the man behind the character, not just for his on-screen prowess, but for his off-screen kindness that had briefly intersected with their lives. As the movie plays, the driver's wife gives his hand a gentle squeeze. "He really helped us out when we needed it," she whispers, her voice thick with gratitude. The driver nods, his eyes reflecting the flickering scenes from the movie, his thoughts on that day when a simple act of kindness from a stranger had lightened their burdens considerably. Meanwhile, in a newly aired interview, Cillian discusses his latest project and the broader impact of his work. The interviewer asks about his off-screen life, and Cillian takes the opportunity to advocate for compassion. It's the small acts of kindness that often go unseen but can be the most transformative, he muses, his thoughts drifting to the encounter with the cab driver. We all have the power to make a difference in someone's day, to turn a moment around with just a bit of understanding. His words, though referencing no specific incident, echo the sentiment of that day in Los Angeles. For those watching, the message is clear. Kindness is a powerful force, one that transcends the boundaries of everyday interactions and leaves a lasting legacy of positivity and connection.